precautionary principle asks a basic question: what happens if we're wrong? Applied here, that means when an activity could mean serious or irreversible harm, we should identify risks beforehand and make sure the public isn't left holding the consequences. We've seen what happens when we wait for the damage. Industries created messes and the public paid, not only with their health and their pocketbooks, but with opportunities and dreams that may never be recovered. A short list includes mercury contamination, asbestos, abandoned oil wells, fracking waste, even the 2008 financial crisis. And in case you're not worried because these things aren't in your backyard, we can't forget that right here in Georgia, PFAS contamination associated with manufacturing created a problem for groundwater. None of these disappear when the industrial activity ends. The public can pay for testing, treatment, and monitoring while homeowners face uncertainty about water, property values, and health. The public doesn't care which box you put the failure in after the fact. They live with the consequences. And this is how the Overton window works. What once seemed unacceptable gradually becomes normal. We become accustomed to shifting costs from private hands to the public. We tell Americans that bad choices have consequences. That's the free market. But when companies create risks or their failures impose costs on the public, we move money from the collective public to private hands through subsidies, bailouts, special protections, or allowing the public to absorb costs that otherwise would have been private. Private benefit, public burden. If a company gets the upside while taxpayers get the downside, we privatize the profit and socialize the risk. That's corporate welfare. There's a simple libertarian question: shouldn't the person or company that creates the risk be responsible? Georgia has also recently changed its justice system through tort reform. What happens when the liability is limited but risk remains? The cost doesn't disappear, it migrates to taxpayers, homeowners, insurance, and communities. Not only can business activities create risks, but regulatory failures can as well. That brings me to the TPOD. The county states that it does not want data centers everywhere. I believe that. But the TPOD gives some properties a pathway to data center development that others don't have. If an owner just outside the boundary asks, why them and not me, what objective standard answers that question? What prevents the district from expanding? What happens when property owners claim unfair exclusion, or this board is replaced by a new one? Even if the county wins the lawsuit, taxpayers pay to defend it. That's how the TPOD can become a runaway train. Once some properties receive a special pathway, every expansion creates another homeowner asking why they were excluded. The company gets the investment opportunity, attorneys get paid, the taxpayer gets the risk and the bill. That's not a free market, that's corporate welfare with a taxpayer-funded insurance policy. So I'm asking you to eliminate the TPOD and replace it with a clear data center specific zoning category requiring strict rezoning for every proposed facility. Same rules, same standards, same burden of proof. Every applicant should demonstrate that the site is appropriate, that water resources are adequate for the facility's expected life, that cumulative impacts have been evaluated, and that surrounding residents will be protected. Every developer should be bonded for these risks with inflation factored in and fund an escrow account for enforcement expenses. Otherwise, small fines become the cost of doing business for these huge companies. Taxpayers should not have to become the insurance company for development or the county's regulatory decisions. The company takes the risks and earns the rewards. The citizens don't become the insurance policy. The precautionary principle asks one fundamental question: who pays if we're wrong? If the answer isn't clear, then we are not ready to approve it. Don't ask the citizens of Paulding County to accept the consequences first and figure out who pays later. We don't need corporate welfare, we need corporate responsibility, and we need our local government to protect the public when corporations create risks and public costs.